Hi, I'm Beth, and welcome back to my little corner of the internet. Last month, I did a January Battle of the Books so that I could fill out this bracket in my reading journal for this year. And now it's time to go over all of the books that I read in February and pick something for this month. It is already a week into March, but I don't care. These are all the books that I read in February. I once again was able to complete 6 books in the month, which I am very pleased with myself to be able to do that, especially in a shorter month like February. I didn't have as good of a reading month as January. Some of these were not great, and we'll talk about it. And I already know what one I'm going to pick as my favorite, so yeah, let's just talk about them, shall we? It's weird standing. This is weird. I hope you can fucking see me too, by the way. I don't know. First up on our list is The Poppy War. I did start this in January. I mentioned it in the last video, but I didn't finish it until probably a week or so into February, and oh my god, it was so good. And also just look how gorgeous she is. Just I cannot get over this beautiful edition. I'm gonna cradle her like this while we talk. I loved this book so much. It is a historical fantasy, if you will, more on the fantasy. So the story follows Rin, and in the beginning, she's just studying day and night, trying to pass this test to be able to get into Sign Guard, which is a military academy. And then you follow her through her training and schooling while they have some atypical and unorthodox methods. That's where the fantasy comes into this. And there's shamans in the world that have incredible / inhuman strengths and powers. And Rin has to learn how to tap into that higher consciousness, and she makes a lot of difficult and very hard choices. Ones that make you scratch your head and wonder what the hell she's doing, but it works, I guess. There is a lot of war violence and death and murder, and it's not really for the faint of heart. Some things are pretty graphic, so I will warn you about that. But it was such an incredible read, and it has been killing me not to read the rest. I bought this collector's edition, and the second one doesn't come out until June. So I'm trying to hold off until then, because I know whenever I actually get it, I'm going to want to read the collector's edition. So I'm trying to hold off. I don't want to buy another copy. I thought about getting them at the library, but then again, I want to read the actual one when I get it. So I'm trying to just be patient, and it's really hard. This is the only one that I gave 5 stars this month, and I highly, highly recommend for its incredible world building, characters, and vivid storytelling. I just really enjoyed it. Kingdom of Trash? No, a trove of treasures. So this was the next one that I read, and I really didn't know a whole lot about it going into it. There's no synopsis on the back. It literally just says that the author of this book based the cover design on his law school textbooks, and that it wasn't great for marketing, but they think it was funny. I mean, agreed, but okay. So the story starts with 2 Grey Watch soldiers showing up at the Trash Golem's hole, and they're trying to recruit him to come back with them across the kingdom to the Watch. The Trash Golem has never been outside of the little gnome town that he works in, cleaning up trash for them, and all that he really knows is from reading books, so he's just what is going on? A majority of the book is their journey to the Watch, where they meet a lot of crazy characters and have a lot of shenanigans that happen along the way. The beginning was a little bit slow, and it did take a little bit of getting used to. This is one of those self-aware, silly books that doesn't take itself seriously, and I did enjoy that about it. There are a lot of footnotes that are just random, just really random shit that just doesn't really add anything to the story, but it's just funny and added that much more character to the book. There are a couple different point of views, and it did seem a little redundant and pointless to me, but then the way everything just kind of seamlessly went together at the end, it was just very satisfying, and I do recommend that you give this a read. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars and really enjoyed the different characters, their relationships, and overall cohesiveness of the storyline and plot. I don't want to spoil anything else, so just go read it. Ooh, Dead Silence. This one was fun. I enjoyed this book a lot. This one was such a roller coaster of emotions. It was gripping, thrilling, suspenseful, and it had it all. The writing was so clear and detailed that it literally felt like I was watching a movie, and I was hooked by chapter 1. This was the book of the month for the book club that I'm in, and the meeting got canceled, so I haven't been able to just talk and rant about this with anybody yet, and it makes me sad. So it follows Claire Kovalik. She is the team lead of the maintenance crew for the CommWeb, which is like the communications in space. I forget what year it was. 2149. That's it. That's what year it was. It's a long ways into the future. Earth is like uninhabitable for the most part, overpopulated, running out of resources, that kind of thing. So whenever they're out like near the edges of the CommWeb, they detect a very faint distress beacon that is coming from none other than the long lost space cruiser, the Aurora. Why is it always the Aurora, by the way? Do we not have other names for things like that? It's always the Aurora. So they decide to go check it out in hopes of becoming millionaires for finding such a prestigious ship that's been lost for 20 years. But soon after arriving and a quick search of the ship, they realize that something's not right, and there's messages scrawled in blood on the walls, and there's lots of other things that I can't tell you or it will spoil it. I will say that something about this book makes me feel like I have read or watched this before, but I haven't. Reading the synopsis and everything, I was like, I've seen this as a movie, but I haven't. It's completely different than anything that I have seen, but it feels familiar, which is weird. And because of that, and because of like the Aurora and the way the ending was, it wasn't quite what I expected it to be, but it worked for the story. I did give this 4 out of 5 stars rather than 5, just because I was a little bit disappointed in like the cause and the conclusion. Let me rephrase. I was more disappointed in why the things happened than the actual ending of the book, if that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense. If you read it, then you'll understand what I mean. But it did make sense for the world, and I cannot fault the book for that. It's just my personal preference that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, I guess. I did devour this book. I started it the one evening and read probably the first 100 pages, and then I woke up the morning in between and I was thinking about it like it was a TV show or movie that I was watching. I'm like, no, Beth, that's the book you're reading. I'm literally remembering this as a movie or something because it was so vivid. But then that night I accidentally stayed up till 1 a.m. finishing it. So I just finished it real fast. But yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. It was an easy, quick read. It had a good mystery, and I recommend. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for this next book. In fact, I actually highly encourage you not to read this book. Aaron Beauregard's Playground was nasty. It was nasty, okay? It was. I don't even want to hold it up in front of me here. I don't want this book near me anymore. I knew going into it that there was going to be child murder, okay? I knew that, and I signed up for that. And that honestly wasn't the worst part. The worst part of this book is the detailed descriptions of this old lady's nasty, crusty vagina and its smell. I understand why a good bit of people cannot make it past page 60 in this book, because it's just fucking gross. I wish I hadn't, but I apparently just like to torture myself. If the rest of the book had been better, I could have overlooked the disgusting details of her flaps, but I called the ending by page 40 or so, and the horror was very repetitive and overall sloppy. Beauregard tried to make you feel for the children, and it just didn't really work for me. The deaths felt very forced, and I was expecting this to be more like a Saw movie kind of horror, and it tried, it just did not execute it well. The ending was really dumb, and overall I just wish I hadn't read it. 1 star because I did finish it, but I hated it. The next book on my list I don't have physically because it was a Spotify audiobook that I listened to. It is Drinks and Sinkholes. This one I wasn't anticipating reading. I honestly had never really heard of it until after I finished Sorcery and Small Magics and it popped up in my Spotify recommended audiobooks. It is the first one in the Weary Dragon Inn series, and I made it about halfway through the book, and then Spotify's like, you have ran out of listening credits. Sorry. I'm like, wow, that sucks. So I had to wait, but I did end up finishing this right before the end of February, so here we go. It follows an innkeeper, her name is Bev, and it is short for Beverage Wench, who stumbled into town about 5 years ago with amnesia, hence her name. And all of a sudden, sinkholes start appearing in town, threatening to hurt people or take the inn itself, and Bev gets volunteered by the mayor herself to figure out the causes of the sinkholes and put a stop to them. So it's just Bev going around the town, talking to townspeople, going out and finding gnomes, talking to giant moles, and it was just overall a really cute, fun story. I did call the ending pretty early on, But I wasn't disappointed in it like I was in Playground or something. It was a good, simple mystery, and overall, I just enjoyed it. It was good to listen to while I was cleaning or crafting. I think I'm about halfway through the second one already, too, so I will update you in the next one once I've listened to more of them. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars just because it was slightly above average, but nothing too crazy or exciting. It was just a decent read. I really hope I'm in frame. And last but not least, maybe it is, maybe, no, not least, that's Playground. 1984. This book was so boring. I really tried. I tried so hard. I made it through it. It was a slog. I understand the relevancy of it today, and I know that it's not supposed to be this thrill or exciting book, but holy God, was it boring. I just couldn't wait to be done with it. I could only read like maybe 20 to 30 pages a day, and I'm like, I gotta walk away. I can't. The writing was very confusing, and it would just flip-flop from point A to B, and then to C and D, and back to B, and I had to keep rereading pages to be like, what is happening? What am I reading? I don't like that. I don't like having to go back and try to figure out what the author is trying to say, because they're just going around in circles, and it just really took me out of the narrative. I just remember thinking when I'm reading it, I'm like, I gotta finish it. Like, something has to happen, right? There's gotta be something, right? But no, there's not. It's just disappointing. Disappointment the whole way through. Written in the 1940s, 1984 is a dystopian novel about repression and government control. It follows Winston Smith, which is like the most boring, basic name I've ever heard, in his day-to-day life under constant surveillance from the party or the government via telescreens in every room. His job is rewriting the history so that everything the party says is the truth, and there's no way to look up things and to prove that the past has been altered. He believes that they're doing this, but he has no proof, even though he literally is the one that does it, and it's his job. I mean, there's a lot of them that do it, but he's part of it. But any evidence is immediately destroyed. And even thinking about something in history that has been altered is considered a thought crime, and you can be vaporized in the middle of the night and you just disappear and have your existence scrubbed from history. I honestly thought it was going to be different. Again, I like to go into books really not knowing much about them and just read it for the experience. But I think for this one, I wish I would have known that nothing happens. You're not going to have a good ending. I will say it was a little scary reading this in today's day and age, and you can argue that we are more surveillance now than they were in 1984. And the things that we have today, George Orwell could never have even imagined, like the facial recognition and that kind of stuff. It's insane that, like, 75 years later, this book is so spot on to things. It's a little scary. It really is. I don't regret reading this one, it just wasn't an enjoyable read for me. But I did give it 3 out of 5 stars because of its relevancy and the impact that it has made on the world, and I wish I would have liked it more. But that concludes my short and sweet reviews of the books that I read in February, and I know what one I'm going to choose for my book of the month, my battle of the books. Last month it was A Quiet Life in the Country, but this month, for the month of February, it's A Bit of Poppy War, and it's not just because it's orange. I know you're thinking that, but it's not. It's not. She might be goddamn gorgeous, but it was also just a really good book, and I cannot wait to read the rest. I really debated buying the box set of, like, the normal ones. Like, no, you don't need the box set to then buy the collector's edition too. Or do I? Do I? Talk me into it. No, don't talk me into it. Don't do it, please. I don't need to spend the money. All right, let's put my little thing in here. I want to record it, but I also don't want to change my camera angle. Am I right? Dip Poppy what? All right, I'm going to try and do this so you can see it. Dip Poppy what? Boop. That is crooked as fuck. Ta-da! The Poppy War. I put it on this side too, and I guess I have to choose one. Oh wait, yeah, I choose this month, and then we'd have an overall winner between March and April. So the Poppy War would definitely beat out A Quiet Life in the Country. Quiet Life in the Country only won because of nostalgia purposes last month. Why does it feel wrong to fill out this as the Poppy War? That's what I do, right? I fill out this, and then this one will have the between the marches, and then I pick the overall, and then I just pick it. Why am I overthinking a fucking bracket right now? I'm doing it. I'm nervous to do it. It's so stupid. It is your reading journal, Beth. It doesn't matter at all. I did it. It looks a little sloppy, but I don't care. Okie dokie, artichokey. That concludes my video for today. I've been slacking a little bit with figuring out what I'm doing with my videos. I've been trying to go off nicotine, so I've been irritable and bitchy the past few days and weeks, so I haven't felt like recording. And I'm also struggling with, there are some books that I wouldn't mind doing like a full video about, but also I'm doing a review of all of the books that I read anyways in my reviews, so I don't know what to post in between those. I do have a couple books that I have finished like last year that I thought about making videos about, but something about it, when I sit down and try to write a script, all of the thoughts and words just go poof out of my head and it's gone. So I don't know, maybe I need to just try and sit down and word vomit something about Caraval. I keep saying I'm going to make a video about Caraval, and then I haven't made a video about it. So I don't know. I'm figuring it out. Bear with me. And if I don't see you again this month, then I'll see you for my monthly reads of March. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you later. Bye!